Imagine setting out on the Appalachian Trail, ready to conquer its beauty, only to find yourself utterly alone. What if that isolation wasn't peaceful, but a prelude to something truly terrifying? This isn't just a hike. It's a battle against the unknown, where every shadow holds a secret, and every sound could be your last. For as long as I can remember, the Appalachian Trail had been more than just a line on a map. It was a dream. A 2,200-mile ribbon of rugged beauty stretching from Georgia to Maine, woven through mountains, forests, and valleys. I had devoured every blog, every video, every triumphant summit photo. I wanted that victory. I wanted to prove I could conquer the world's most famous footpath alone. When I finally took my first steps on the trail, pack on my back and boots sinking into the dirt, it was everything I hoped for. The first few days were bliss. Crisp mountain air, endless green canopies, and sunrises that painted the horizon in gold and fire. I met other hikers at shelters, shared stories, laughed over campfires. It felt like the trail had its own heartbeat, a community pulsing along its length. That sense of safety was intoxicating and misleading. By the second week, I was hiking longer stretches without seeing another soul. Trail magic, those random acts of kindness from strangers, became rare. Food drops were harder to find. The nights were darker, quieter, until they weren't. That's when I first started hearing it. Faint whispers in the woods when the wind was still. Days began to blur into one another. The rhythm of walking, eating, sleeping became mechanical. Weeks passed without a familiar face. I spoke less, even to myself. The trail narrowed into a tunnel of trees, the world beyond my headlamp vanishing into shadows. I realized I couldn't remember the last time I heard another human voice. And in that vacuum, my mind started filling the silence with something else. At first, I thought it was just paranoia. A rustle behind me made me turn, expecting to see a deer. But there was nothing. Shadows seemed to stretch and shift, becoming silhouettes of people that melted back into trees when I blinked. One night, while camped miles from the nearest shelter, I woke to the sound of slow, deliberate footsteps circling my tent. My heart slammed in my chest. I held my breath, clutching my knife. No flashlight. Didn't want to give myself away. I told myself it was an animal. I told myself a lot of things out there. The wilderness doesn't care about you. Storms rolled in without warning, drenching me to the bone. The terrain grew cruel. Steep ascents that shredded my legs, descents so slick I slid down on my backside. Every step was a reminder, you are small and the trail is endless. The turning point came on my 28th day. I was deep in a section known for its remoteness. No towns, no easy exits. The air was heavy, the forest unnaturally still. I'd been on edge since morning, feeling watched. Late that afternoon, I spotted something ahead on the trail. At first, I thought it was a fallen log. Then, it moved. A man stood there, filthy, clothes torn, hair matted. He didn't have a pack. His eyes locked onto mine, and something about that stare froze me in place. It wasn't surprise, it wasn't curiosity, it was hunger. I stepped back. He stepped forward. "Long way from anywhere," he rasped. Every instinct screamed to run, but the trail behind me was just as empty. I muttered something about needing to keep moving and tried to pass. That's when he blocked the path. The next few minutes were a blur. Him asking questions that didn't feel like questions. His gaze never leaving my pack. His hand drifting towards something hidden in his coat. I lied. Told him friends were a mile behind me. He smirked, like he didn't believe me. When he finally stepped aside, I didn't walk. I ran. But running didn't make the feeling go away. For the next 2 days, I swore I heard someone pacing me in the woods. Every campsite felt unsafe. Every snapped twig was him. The fear was suffocating. Sleep became a luxury I couldn't afford. I started hiking before dawn and kept moving until exhaustion forced me to stop. Food ran low because I skipped cooking, afraid the smell would draw attention. The trail tested me in ways I'd never imagined. Not just physically, but mentally. My mind replayed the encounter on loop, imagining all the ways it could have ended differently. Worse. On the 5th night after seeing him, I stumbled into a shelter just before a storm hit. Inside, there was one other hiker, a woman in her 50s, named Linda. She took one look at me and knew something was wrong. I told her everything, my voice shaking. She listened without interrupting, then handed me a protein bar and said, "We'll hike together tomorrow." That one small kindness, it saved me. With another person beside me, the forest felt less oppressive. The whispers faded. I still caught myself glancing over my shoulder, but for the first time in days, I didn't feel like prey. Weeks later, when I finally reached the end of the trail, there was no triumphant scream, no tears of joy, just quiet. My body was battered, blisters, bruises, sunburn, but the real damage was deeper. Even now, back in the safety of my home, I hear echoes of those footsteps. I avoid wooded areas at night, and sometimes, in dreams, I see that man's eyes. The Appalachian Trail didn't just change me, it marked me. If you're thinking about hiking it alone, understand this. It's not just the miles that will break you. It's the isolation, the unpredictability, and the truth that out there, the wild doesn't care if you make it home. Go prepared, go smart, and never, ever ignore that voice in your gut telling you something is wrong. Because sometimes, it's not just in your head. I went to the Appalachian Trail searching for peace. What I found instead was the thin, fragile line between solitude and survival. And once you've crossed it, you can never truly go back.